which we all do. But the reason we pick a niche is so that we can make more money. So I want to tell you a little bit of a little story. Once upon a time, there was a 5-foot small cheerleader that didn't like to be the center of attention, that was voted most understanding in high school. And then there was this wrestler that would do anything to get his way, loved to be the center of attention, and he was voted most obnoxious. And both the wrestler, the most obnoxious and the most understanding, went to college. And a few years later, one of the wrestler, most obnoxious friends, bet that Miss Understanding would not go out with most obnoxious. And so most obnoxious, of course, was very resourceful and got a hold of most understanding's best friend and talked most understanding into going out with most obnoxious. Well, you can imagine who that is. So I'm most understanding. In high school, that's what I was. And you guys probably would all be labeled most understanding because we're healers and that's why we're in this business, right? And so why do I tell you that story? I tell you that story because I want you for the next 50 minutes to think about your personal journey and where it's brought you and why you're here and what you might choose as your niche based on your journey. All right, so here's the rest of my story. Back in 2004, I became a hypnotherapist, but I was I like to say generalist hypnotist, all right? I had a part-time business for about 10 years. And when I got into hypnosis, it was because of hypnobirthing. And I was very excited about it because it was what I wanted to do. Ever since I was a little child, I wanted to be a psychologist. I always wanted to be a psychologist. And I have a degree in psychology, but I didn't get my PhD, so it's hard to open your own practice when you don't have a PhD. And so when I found hypnosis and I found what we could do to help people, it was right up my alley. So I thought that was pretty exciting. And let's see. I'm sure we all have experiences in our life where you can grow and develop. But the reason that you are here today is because you want hypnosis or hypnotherapy to be profitable for you. You want it to be your business. And that's what I want to talk to you about is how do we do that? And we do that by picking the niche. So I never expected to be a business owner. When I started in hypnosis or hypnotherapy, I started because I wanted to help people and because I enjoyed doing it, but I had no idea what it meant or what it felt like to be a business owner. And as we know, there are so many pieces of the puzzle. And so after years and years of classes and hundreds of hours of research, because when I started, we didn't have Facebook, we had Google. That was about it. So I cannot tell you the bookshelves I have of hypnosis and how to do hypnosis. And I started working with athletes because when you go back to my journey, my husband, because he was a collegiate wrestler, helped me get started with athletes back 15 years ago. And I was a cheerleader. I wasn't a competitive athlete. I wouldn't have known how to work with athletes. But when you look at my journey, it helped me pick what my niche is and what is helping me to have a profitable business today. He helped me write scripts. He helped me learn about mental toughness, all that stuff that I was like, mental toughness? I don't think so. I mean, I even find myself telling wrestlers is I preach, let's be kind. But when you're a wrestler, if you're not mean on the mat, you're not going to win that match. And so that's the kind of stuff that I probably just had no clue about, but I learned it as I went through this journey. And so I was seeing all types of clients when I first started, even though he helped me start with athletes. And I have tons of books on athletes and how to work with athletes, and I made recordings for athletes. I still was afraid to pick my niche. And why was I afraid? I think I was just scared. And it's interesting, we'll go through that in a minute. So when you talk about scared, I saw athletes for stress, pain, or clients, stress and pain management, weight loss. I would do free weight loss clinics in order to just get experience and get people in. I would see people for smoking, but I was afraid to designate myself as the expert. And I like the comfort zone. And so scary was not okay with me. And I don't have a whole lot of comfort zone in my house. I have 3 boys with a ton of testosterone. And they say things like, suck it up, buttercup, all the time. That's one of their favorites. The other one that I heard all the time is from that Rocky movie. I don't know if any of you remember this one. To beat me, he's going to have to kill me. He's going to have to stand in front of me and do that and be willing to die himself. That's the kind of stuff I hear. So I crave comfort zone. So picking a niche and being scared was something that I was really afraid of doing. So about 4 years ago, even though I saw a lot of athletes, I still had not designated myself as that hypnotherapist or hypnotist that sports hypnotist. And so about 4 years ago, our foster girls had moved out. I was ready to dedicate myself to the business and really make it a career and make it profitable. And just make it something that was mine and that I could see the income and the cash flow from, instead of just seeing clients and paying for my office and kind of just being there. And so that's where it gets tricky, is I had an office, I had a website, I had brochures, which obviously I spent a lot of time on and money on, for hypnobirthing, which I teach, and weight loss and smoking, and then I had that general brochure, and I wasn't sure where to put them all because I had them all. I was on Facebook, I was on Twitter, I had a LinkedIn account, an Instagram account. So I had all of those building blocks of business, but it still was only a part-time business, and it was not consistent. And so I would have a couple of clients a day, and then I'd have a really busy day, and then sometimes I would have a week with no clients. And I didn't have any idea at that time what an opt-in was, or a funnel, or a lead magnet. That was all very, very foreign to me. And part of the reason it was foreign to me is because I didn't have that avatar client, that ideal avatar client, that ideal client that I wanted to speak to, that I wanted to bring into my business. And so I decided to take that leap, and I decided to get through all of those fears and just start with that first step of creating that website, which I had had a website for 10 years, creating a website that spoke to that ideal client. And it really was a game changer for me. It was, as we all know, it was when you finally decide to accept something. You finally decide to step out and you just go ahead and do it. And so I knew that there was something greater there. And here's the funny thing is I had named my business 14 years prior, Win with Hypnosis, which now I think, right? You're speaking to athletes, but why did it take me 10 years to figure out that I needed to pick my niche? So what I'm here to tell you all is that, yes, I was scared, but when I finally took that leap, it made a huge difference in my business. And then I wrote this book, HYPNOSIS-NICHE, which I'm sure most of you are aware of, which you're all going to get a copy when you're finished here. In fact, if you'd like a copy, I just need name and email address. And it's funny because I have talked to quite a few people now. I've sent this out in an ebook to about 400 or 500 people, and I've asked a lot of questions. And the big question that I always get back is, I'm afraid to limit myself. I'm afraid that if I only pick one client, then the other clients won't find me. So my point here is that if you are looking to have a more profitable business, take that leap of faith and get out there and pick your niche, and you will see success from it. So I'm Caryn Bird, and I have a business in Burlington, Wisconsin, Win with Hypnosis, and my niche is working with athletes. And when I say that, it doesn't mean that I don't work with all kinds of other clients that I have learned to work with. I've taken a million classes on pediatric hypnosis. I love working with children. I love working with weight loss. I work with a lot of stress and anxiousness. I could pick any niche, and there are a lot of niches that I could pick. Like, I could pick weight loss and be very successful at it because I see a lot of people for weight loss. I use virtual gastric band. It's very successful. I could pick children as my niche, and I could designate my website to working with children and adolescents. I see a lot of children and adolescents, but everything that I'm marketing is for athletes, and I'll tell you why that works for me. So this is for you if you're just starting out in business and you are trying to figure out how to make some money at it. This is for you if you have been in business for a really long time and you just can't quite figure out why you're not bringing money in the door. And this is for you if you have been in business and you are profitable, but you just want to switch your niche, and that's okay too. And I tell everybody it's okay to switch your niche. Just because you switched it, you have a niche, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? Niche.
It's just fun.
It's just fun, right? It doesn't matter. You're not married to it. It doesn't have to be that way forever, but just brand yourself like that, with that for a little while. So what I'm going to do with this class is I want to do a few different things. I want to talk about how every business has 3 stages, and what are they? What is the niche? What happens when you don't? What happens when you resist it? And what happens when you do finally pick your niche? Now, I'm not sure I'm going to get through it all, but that's okay because it's all right there in that book. And so I'm going to just talk and get through what I can and answer questions. So I want you all to think about this for a moment, all right? How many of you in here have picked your niche and really have one that you, okay, so there's a few. You're thinking about it, right? I get a lot of, I know I have to, I'm thinking about it, I'm afraid to, I don't want to limit myself, yep. And if those of you that don't have a niche, what is your biggest fear or frustration or concern about picking one? Anyone?
I don't have this, but I'm going to stay. I might change my mind.
You might change your mind to have a niche. Okay. Love that. Anyone else? Why don't you have one? What is your biggest fear to have to do it, or why haven't you?
I don't know if it's a fear so much as it seems like I'm working in different areas all the time. I mean, I do industry and I work for a medical client too, so I see people in both ways, and so I don't know if I want to focus on just.
Do you have a favorite one that you enjoy more than others?
Well, at the industry one, I see everybody because all of, there's 1,500 employees and they can come and see me there once a week, and so it's all every problem that they can imagine.
But what's your favorite to work with? What is easy and it flows and you enjoy working with them?
Relationships. I find relationships.
Okay, so keep that in the back of your mind. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So I want to see you all be successful in this career, because the reason that you are all here right now in this place at this conference is because you want to do something with your hypnosis business, right? But if you're not making money at it, it's really hard to sustain it. And if you're only paying the rent and your website fee, it's not a whole lot of fun, because I know that I love working with athletes, and part of the reason I love working with athletes is because they're easy for me, and I don't have to think a lot. It's not, I guess I have to think about it, but it's easy for me, and so I enjoy working with athletes. But it doesn't mean that they are really my only client that I enjoy working with. So I hear things like, I really want to, but I'm afraid of cutting out all my other options. I don't want to lose clients if my website is only focused on one type of client. I don't really have a structured program, so I'm not sure how to work with that. And so there's a lot of different reasons that people don't pick their niche either. So anyone else in here have any reason that they really haven't just honed in on deciding to market to one individual?
I get bored really quickly.
You get bored.
And so I know that like probably 60% of my business is smoking cessation. And I could easily make that my niche. I love it, I'm passionate about it, and all of that. But there is that part of me that says, well, if I make that my niche, I'm gonna be doing that all day, every day. And I wanna work with people that have anxiety, I wanna work with teens,
Okay, so
other issues. And so there's this part of me that says, I'm gonna get bored if all I do is the thing in the niche. And I'm starting, because I'm reading your book, and I'm starting to realize that doesn't lock me in. But it's gonna take time. It takes time to change your business model a little bit.
Yeah.
to niche, when it's like when you've been a general practitioner, family doctor for 20 years to all of a sudden become an OBGYN.
Yes. Yep. True.
You know,
So here's a question: do you have as many clients as you want? Are you fully booked that you couldn't handle any more clients?
oh, I can always handle it.
You can handle more clients. So it would be okay to work with the clients that you have now, and then add more clients.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And so this is what I find is, yes, I have designated myself as the sports hypnotist, and I see athletes from all over Wisconsin and Illinois and all over the region. But because I see all these athletes, I get a ton of referrals from it. So in a typical day, I could see a weight loss, a nail biter, 2 smokers, a teenager for focus, a teenager for anxiety, and then maybe 2 athletes in the evening. And I'll block my day, so my whole day is working with clients. But I saw 2 athletes out of that entire group, and the reason is because every athlete that comes in, I tend to see a lot of the youth athletes, and then a lot of high school and collegiate too, I guess. But when you have the youth athletes, I have the parents come in and speak to me and hear about hypnosis and how it works for sports for the first 20-25 minutes, and just kind of that pre-talk. And I would say 99.9% of the time, the parent at the end of the pre-talk will look at me and smile and say, "But do you see people for? Can I bring my son to you for focus? Oh my gosh, I could lose some weight. I know this so-and-so. Do you work with people that have anxiety? What do you do with people with," and so with every athlete that I see, it is my best referral, because with every athlete that I see, I can probably get 2-3 clients off of that one athlete because they had the success. And of course they find it. I get phone calls all the time that say, "Oh, I just took a look at your website and I see that you work with athletes, but do you work with people for whatever it is also?" Absolutely I do. And it is really not limiting itself. So as you read through that book, you'll realize that picking your niche is really niche. I'm just gonna keep doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really, there's no reason not to if you want to start making money and have a profitable business. So the question is what is a niche? Does anyone know? Oh yes, go ahead.
Where my challenge is, it's health that is my focus, and so
Mhm.
getting down to like smoking cessation, things like
Mhm.
that. And so I was thinking I was getting my niche, or it could be niche,
Yeah.
a third pronunciation,
Mhm.
is someone says you need to have an avatar. I'm like, so how specific do you drill down into, or the more you drill, the better, or?
Well, that's a really great question. But I truly believe that the more you niche down, the better it is. So you could see someone for weight loss, but if you offer the weight loss virtual gastric band, you're even better off because that's what you're known for. And Grace Smith said it really well, is niche down so you can blow up. So smaller, smaller, smaller. And a good example of that is, because I'm in the wrestling world and that's what my family does, is I get these emails from this woman, her name is Jackie, and she's a nutritionist. So when you think of a nutritionist, you think of someone that'll work with the elderly or someone that works with diabetes, or she works solely with wrestlers and how they can successfully cut weight. And she's a nutritionist. And she will put them on a 3-month program. And because she has niched down as a nutritionist, she charges like $10,000 to work with these wrestlers for a 3-month program to get them into this healthy eating and being able to cut weight healthy, and she just found her niche. And so, that's part of it is, yes, go low, go really low, and you're targeting that client, that avatar client, that perfect client. So what is their gender? What is their age? What do they like to do? Where do they hang out? Figure all that out, and then that's who you start to target. And it doesn't mean you're limiting yourself. You're just figuring out exactly who you need to start marketing to. All right? So a niche is really not only finding your target market, it's discovering your place in the world, your role, what you have to offer others. And when you can do that, you know what your place is. And you start to really reach out, and it doesn't mean that others aren't going to reach out to you. And when you don't niche, and I know this because I did this for 10 years, I felt unproductive and unfocused. I didn't know when I put a post out there for Facebook, I wasn't sure who I wanted to speak to. Was it somebody that had anxiety that day or stress that day? Was it an athlete? Did I want to talk about bedwetting? I see kids for bedwetting all the time. I mean, once you see one kid for bedwetting and they're successful, you get referral after referral after referral. So that is one of those that I see often. But I wasn't sure where I should go with it. Now, everything is focused on athletes. My Facebook posts are towards athletes. I have a Facebook group that is for athletes. And I still find, in fact, it's not even the same as my business blew up when I finally decided to pick this niche. So why do we resist it? Like we talked about, you're afraid of limiting your clients, right? You're afraid of taking your website. I think the first step that I took, maybe it was even 2 years ago, because I had a general website, and that first step that I took was revamping my entire website, the first page, to speak to those athletes. Now, there's also other pages saying, what do I see other people for? What else do? I teach hypnobirthing. I still teach hypnobirthing. There's still people that reach out to me for hypnobirthing, and it's very far from athletes. But it was that was my first step, and then you can start to figure out where you want to really reach all of these people. Any questions about any of that so far? Yes, Larry.
So I can almost see a person choosing a niche to stay in a comfort zone.
It could be, because then, and the other thing that's really great about that is if you don't want to learn more, you can refer them out because you are already successful enough seeing your niche clients. I know, again, for those first 10 years is because I was a generalist hypnotist. I learned everything. I wanted to know how to do this, and I wanted to know how to do that, and I felt like I didn't do NLP well enough, and I didn't have the best smoking program, and so I was constantly buying programs and learning more and trying to become an expert in everything. And I remember, I don't know, maybe even 5 or 6 years ago, I would have a client for something new that they were coming in, and the whole day long, I would think to myself, what is the best technique? And I would Google it, and I would learn about it, and I would see if I could find it in my hundreds of books that were on the shelf, because I felt like I needed to work with everyone on everything. These days, if I have someone that I feel like I don't want to work with them, or I don't want to do the research on it, or I just don't have the time, I am more than happy to refer out. And if I don't know that someone does it, I will say to that potential client, I don't know exactly who, but let me do some research for you, and I will get back to you, and then I'll just refer them to someone else. So absolutely, it makes, if I was starting all over again, and I say this all the time, is I am not a trainer of hypnotherapists, or hypnotists. If I was, I think one of the requirements would be pick your niche before you step out this door, because it will make your entire life easier, and then you can just go off of that. All right, so why do you pick your niche? You know, the reason we're in our business, again, if I could tell you anything, is because you won't sustain and you won't be in this business. You won't be able to afford to go to conferences and get that admin help you need, so you're not trying to do everything in your business, if you don't figure out how to be profitable. So we have to monetize, and that's what you do with your niche, is you monetize. And here's the other thing I want to tell you is, we all know that time is the big, precious, unrenewable resource, right? That one thing that we can't get anything back. So don't waste your time being a generalist hypnotist like I was, because there's a lot of years there that you have wasted on doing what you do, but also being an entrepreneur. Because when I stepped into the business, I didn't think, I want to do hypnosis because I want to be an entrepreneur. And that was a huge learning process for me. But I think if I would have looked at it in a different angle of, I can't do this business unless I am an entrepreneur, and these are the steps that I would take, I would have been a whole lot further, a whole lot sooner. So I want to spend a few moments with you guys, just to those of you that don't have a niche, or that want to really focus on what your niche should be, or if you can micromanage that or down, or micro niche down, and ask you a few questions. Does that sound good? Is everybody okay with that? Okay. And because it's 2 in the afternoon, we're going to do some relaxation.
Oh.
All right. Okay, so actually what I'm going to ask you all to do, you're all hypnotists in here, right? Okay, so you all know how to do self-hypnosis?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to give you just a few moments to close your eyes and start by taking those 3 deep breaths and just relax. Just start accessing that subconscious mind like we all know how to do. And when you feel very relaxed, just slowly nod your head a little bit or bring your head down to your chest, your chin to your chest. Good. And just remember to take all of the tension out of those muscles, the little muscles around your eyes and your lips. And feel that space between your teeth. And your shoulders sink. And feel the weight of your bottom in the chair. Feel your breathing. Feel the cool air into your nostrils and filling your lungs. And the warmth of your breath as you exhale. I'm going to pose a few questions to you. Just think of the answers in your mind and talk about them when you open your eyes again. So the first one is, I enjoy working with clients who need help with. I enjoy working with clients who need help with. My life experiences have made me an expert in blank. Now we all know that we are experts in something, whether it's what's happened to us in our life. Maybe we had cancer and we want to work with cancer patients. Maybe we have an immune system disorder, we want to work with that. I am confident I can be successful with clients who fill in the blank. I am confident I can be successful with clients who. Now take a moment and imagine your ideal hypnosis business. Imagine the type of client that you prefer to have walk in your door. Because we know that your arms are open and your heart is open. And you want to help. And what does your office look like? When I'm thinking like an entrepreneur, what niche will help me bring in money right away? I can reach out to. When thinking like an entrepreneur, what niche will help me bring in money right away? When you think about that client avatar that you have in that mind, and think about what they really want, what value you can bring to them, and if that works for them. choose thoughts that are in alignment with this client. And you can open your eyes now and come back to the room. Okay. Did anyone get any clarity? Yeah? Anyone come up with
More focus.
more focus
I have my
on?
niche, but even more focus.
Mm-hmm.
Caryn?
Focus on?
Relaxed.
Oh, I wasn't in the thing. Okay. Yes.
I've been resisting the smoking thing, wanting to do something different, but I did quit smoking 3 packs a day, so it's something that I can testify to.
Exactly. And when I think about that also, I think about there's a lot of things that I could have done. I had a son that had a parasite and was in the hospital for days and was really, really ill and had a ton of food intolerances after that. And at that time, I can't tell you how many hundreds of hours I spent researching how to make your body healthy again after having a parasite or after having had stomach ulcers, and he was only 5 or 6 years old. I could do that as my niche, and you're right. You know how to do it. You're the best person to work with those people because you've been there. Anyone else have any clarity? Yes.
Well, I do a lot of work with people with child issues who weren't loved and loving themselves. What came to me during this is how to live with the narcissist. Because a lot of the people that come to me are married to narcissists. And they live for that other person, not themselves.
There's a huge need for that, I am finding. Yes.
How to live with a narcissist?
How to, yes.
How to avoid the narcissist?
No, it's
They're already married to them.
they're married to them and they need to
Sometimes
learn how to
it's
put up that
needy.
bubble, and I see a lot of that too also. Mhm. Yeah, that's good. Yes, Sheila, did you?
We might just start with the niche for this lady. So for say, if you're doing lots of child stuff, it's area that I've never explored, but I think would be a massive need for it, is if you went to people like myself, for example, who adopted people reach a certain age and they go on self-destruct mode.
And that's more niching down.
Comes back down to, yeah, but then it's all an age group of people who could afford your services because it tends to be 60s and 60s, thousands of people elected.
Fading, we're not hearing you. I wasn't hearing that.
So I was just saying, for it to niche down even further for this lady, people who are adopted, they reach a certain age and they tend to pass a self-destruct. I know because I've done it myself. Of course, it all goes back to that same inner child. So you could niche inner child down into that kind of area, and you're also then in the market of people, so they're at that age where they can afford your services. That's the other thing, people don't get to afford, you know, be able to pay your fee as well. But I haven't seen anybody else who's niche that area.
That's a great idea. Anyone else? Yes.
Well, because of my background, I've seen a lot of, I've worked with sexual abuse a lot, but I've never really advertised it, and I see a lot of both men and women who've been sexually abused, and that just came to me when we did this.
What's on your heart?
I don't know if I'll do that, but
Especially with your kinesthetic program that
Yeah.
you have,
Mhm.
that could
In the
be
body.
very powerful.
If she wants to get free training in that, I got free training from 2 different sexual assault centers. You have to volunteer, but they give you like a 3-month training that's just epic. And then you do some volunteer. I was always on the crisis line, and it's really worthwhile.
Good. That's good to know. I've thought about micro niching down to even just a specific sport, which I know Joni is working with a lot of sports, but is an expert with swimmers. Did you come up with anything with your?
Just confirmation. Just seeing the beauty of
being able to easily answer those questions because I know I'm set. on
Yes,
anything.
because you are very solid on your niche.
I'm so 60.
Right?
But also I put a lot of years into it, you know. But,
Yes.
but I did know that I was, going to stay in. I knew I was in love with it, like waking up every day and doing it.
True. And I will contend again is if I wanted to switch to weight loss clients or teenagers, I see so many teenagers with stress and panic attacks. I could do that tomorrow, and all I would need to do is switch out my website and change who my client avatar was and focus my Instagram and Facebook posts on different things, and I would probably see more of those, but still continue to see the athletes because they're still going to bring them to me.
You're still going to get that. You're seeing athletes. Athletes are people.
Yes.
And so people are going to have anxiety. People are going to have. It's not all related to the sport. So you're getting that. And then going further, because I've done that, branching out to corporations. Like I have USA Swimming is a big client, right?
Mhm.
Like the organization is a. So it's not whatever you might be thinking. You got to think about. And I always do this. What are some branches? So I'm always thinking of my business as a tree. And so although I have a lot of branches, it's kind of fun and it also keeps you interested and excited about some new project is to think of, okay, where else can I go with this? And you'll be amazed that people will bring that to you, but your own mind will do it.
Mm-hmm.
As you
The
process it
manifesting.
just the way that we did in that
Yes.
exercise.
That's a great analogy. Mm-hmm.
So I think two things with your niche related to sports, how that's your energies are feeling good with that,
Yes.
and once you feel good with that niche,
Mm-hmm.
it's no difficulty to bring on somebody else or something else because you're feeling so confident, so good with your niche.
Right.
I had during this experience with your induction, I had more of a symbolism of going up a hill, and my niche became going down the hill. Everything was easy. So I didn't have, because my niche, of course, is my electronic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's my niche, and now I could still cover many areas, but that's my niche.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost get uncomfortable if I don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I feel like, well, that's because everything is comfortable as I'm going downhill. It reminds me of Abraham Hicks, roll your boat gently down the stream. Don't go up the stream because you're working too hard.
Right? Right?
So I like to just kind of coast, and that's what I picked up. So I can say, oh, I should make my niche smoking because smoking's easy because I used to smoke, and I said, oh, I have compassion, empathy for smokers.
Right?
But I always make jokes and I say smokers pay the bills because they're so easy to work with. And that's what I say. So I'm saying, to me, a niche is nothing more than making your life more confident, more easy, more coasting. No hard work.
Right. Right. It just makes
This
it a
shouldn't be
whole
hard.
lot easier.
Our profession shouldn't be hard work.
Exactly. And it's interesting you say that smokers are easy because they are not my favorite client. I will
Did you
work
ever
with
smoke?
smokers. I did not ever
Yeah,
smoke.
that's-
Exactly.
That's why
So
they're
it's-
not your favorite.
Yes,
That's
it's that
probably
life
why.
experience. What has
I've never
made
had.
you?
I've never played a sport. I would have such a difficult time hypnotizing an athlete.
Mhm.
I have no understanding of sports.
Well, yes, I didn't either, but
Wait, cheerleading is a sport.
Cheerleading's a sport.
cheerleading is a
Yeah,
sport now. In
that's a
fact,
sport.
Joni and I were
Yeah.
both talking about we both see competitive, very competitive cheerleaders now.
Yes.
And also you were
They train
involved.
They train as much
You
as-
were the energy of athletes, though.
Yes, and that energy. Yes, exactly.
Were you
That's
a
where my life is.
cheerleader than you were a sport?
Yeah.
Right, I was. We weren't as competitive back then, but
it wasn't
now
as
they
much
are.
gymnastics as it is
Right,
now.
this
It's
tumbling.
gymnastics
I
now.
Oh my
see a
gosh,
lot
yeah.
of cheerleaders
Dance.
with the
Mhm.
tumbling blocks.
Mhm.
You
Not
know,
only
they
that,
can't
but
do their
they have to
handsprings
lift
anymore.
weights because they do all the
Mhm.
stunts and
Yeah.
like we used to train every day for an hour,
Mhm.
just building muscle
For
right,
cheerleading.
for cheerleading,
Yeah.
so that we could throw the girls up and catch them and
Mhm.
do all those things.
Yes.
And you look athletic.
I do.
Yeah, your posture and everything. And when I sit with a smoker and I say, oh yeah, I used to smoke, I'm their friend right away.
Mhm. Mhm. True. So the life experience. Yes.
Caryn,
Yeah.
your opening example, did you go out with this
She
opposite?
married him.
I did. I married him.
Oh,
I
okay.
did.
Well, you never said that.
No, I did, and that's why I have 3 wrestlers. Yes.
You married an athlete?
I married an athlete, which is how I got into that. Yes. And so we went to the same high school together, but then ended up at the same college. So it was years later. But all the teachers back in high school were like, "What the heck, Caryn? Like, that was just not who we pegged you with." So, yes. Welcome to my life. I use a lot of self-hypnosis to bring myself back down.
How many years?
Oh, 26.
Awesome.
Yes.
Good deal.
26 years married?
Yes. Yes, that was 26 years ago. Yes. All right. Well, we just have a few more minutes. So the next question is now that you have a little bit more clarity on what your niche should be or micromanaging it down, what steps can you take tomorrow? Think about it for a moment. What steps? What's that first step you can take tomorrow to start marketing to bring that as you become that expert? And even if you're not the expert, you'll read in my book that I'm forgetting who it was, a business guru was talking about how it takes only 20 hours to become really good at something. And to be really good at something is good enough when you know how to do hypnosis. So just knowing a little bit more, and there's so many programs out there now. So what steps can you take? Is it going back to your website and reframing your website to speak to that avatar client? Is it your Facebook posts? Is it starting an email campaign with that client? So starting to gather email addresses. What step can you take? And just know that you don't have to do it on your own. So there are so many things you can do. You can get feedback from a friend. Ask them, what they think you're best at, or what they think you could help with. You can read a book on it. You can post a question on Facebook and just put it out there. Start reaching out that way. There's so many different things that you can do. So what I really want to leave you with is a couple different things that successful entrepreneurs do. And the first one is be grateful. Be grateful that you're here. Be grateful that you found this business, that you found hypnosis, because as we know, I had a degree in psychology, and I think there was like a paragraph about hypnosis when it came to that. And I went to school for my MSW, and I don't think we learned anything about hypnosis. I didn't even know what hypnosis was until